In the top stories, 191 tickets issued to persons for breaching COVID-19 regulations. Police investigating homicide of a woman in Antigua and Barbuda. And Ethiopians vote as opposition alleges irregularities. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Tuesday, the 22nd of June, 2021. I'm Jason Davis. Nationally, the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force has issued 191 tickets to persons who have breached the COVID-19 regulations. That's according to Superintendent of Police Cromwell Henry, who was speaking during the National Emergency Operations Center COVID-19 briefing on Monday.
191 tickets have been issued over the period May 21st to June 20th for failing to wear masks in public and for hosting social events without permission. 119 of such tickets were issued in St. Kitts and 72 on Nevis.
Superintendent Henry noted that 31 persons have been arrested for breaching the curfew that's in place to protect everyone from the spread of the second wave of COVID-19. 8 of the 31 arrested have been charged. Superintendent Henry appealed to the general public to adhere to all health and safety protocols implemented to keep them safe.
We continue to urge our people to take all the COVID-19 control measures seriously and strictly adhere to them, as such adherence will facilitate the slowing of the spread of the virus and the eventual easing of all restrictions.
Superintendent Henry reminded everyone that St. Kitts and Nevis is on partial lockdown with a nightly curfew from 6 p.m. to 5 a.m. and only essential workers, persons with medical emergencies, or persons exempted by the Commissioner of Police are allowed to be on the road during the curfew hours. The National Emergency Management Agency and the St. Kitts Meteorological Services are monitoring a tropical wave in the Atlantic and its potential impact on the Federation later this week. Speaking on behalf of the National Disaster Coordinator Abdia Samuel on Monday's NEOC briefing, Minister of Labour, the Honourable Wendy Phipps, said the impact isn't expected to be significant, but they are monitoring it nonetheless.
We are advised by the St. Kitts Department of Meteorological Services that although it does not pose a major threat to us here in St. Kitts and Nevis, it is still something that we need to watch for. Already this system has thunderstorms associated with it and scattered showers. However, it appears that the environmental conditions out in the eastern portion beyond us would not be favorable for formation into anything significant. I don't think we expect any wind speeds above 20 miles per hour.
Senior Met Officer Elmo Burke told ZIZ News the Federation can expect cloudiness and showers from as soon as late Wednesday, while the Southern Caribbean would be more severely impacted by the tropical wave. And during her NEOC presentation, Minister Phipps also advised everyone to continue putting their hurricane preparations in place, as weather systems can change at the shortest possible notice. Youth between the ages of 8 and 16 years in the Federation can explore and develop their creative potential in July as the Department of Youth Empowerment hosts a virtual summer creative camp. The camp runs from July 19 to 23 and is described as a fun and engaging experience in several areas, including painting, jewelry making, t-shirt design, paper plate art, and concrete flower pots. Presentations on various life skills will also be featured. The daily sessions will begin at 8:30 a.m. and wrap up at noon. The sessions will be available via Microsoft MS Teams and Zoom. To participate, persons must register. Registration is available online at the St. Kitts Department of Youth Empowerment Facebook page, and there is a $30 registration fee. The fee can be paid at the St. Kitts Department of Youth Empowerment, located on the top floor of the Cable Building on Keon Street. In Nevis, payment can be made at the Department of Youth top floor of Reliable Motors in Charlestown. Registration deadline is the 9th of July. After the registration process is completed, parents and guardians will receive instructions on when and where to collect packages with materials for the camp classes, including paint, canvas, beads, wire, and also other pieces of information. For more details, you can telephone 662-6054 or email youth@gov.kn. We now move to news on the regional scene. The discovery of a mother lying in a pool of blood and her son with injuries is the subject of a police investigation in Antigua and Barbuda and may have been caused by domestic violence. ABS's Terry Andrews reports.
The body of Althea Henry, a mother of 3, removed from her Cashew Hill home hours after she was found dead in a pool of blood. The cover used to secure her lifeless body was soaked in blood. Fellow villagers gasped in anguish as the tragedy they were witnessing was in stark contrast of the pleasant, joyful individual they had come to love. Her son nursing serious injuries in the hospital, while her youngest son had to be comforted by a family member as he watched investigators process the scene. The suspect, her partner Anthony Boyd, now in police custody. The circumstances surrounding what led to the 50-year-old killing and her son's injuries are not yet clear. In 2017, Boyd was charged with attempted murder of Henry when her bloodied and beaten body was discovered on March 20 at Radio Range. The charge was later dropped at her request. 4 years later, Henry's untimely death has sent the Cashew Hill community into sadness and mourning. A life lost tragically to domestic violence, law enforcers want everyone to play their part in ensuring this does not become an epidemic during a time of pandemic. Terry Andrew, ABS News.
The partial lifting of restrictions by the U.S. over the alleged unlawful police killings in 2011 in St. Lucia has produced mixed reactions from the Police Welfare Association. The lifting of the restrictions would allow St. Lucia to participate in certain U.S.-sponsored security initiatives. Don Nicholas for DBS News has that story.
Public Relations Officer of the Police Welfare Association, Stanislaus Albert, is happy that at least certain departments within the Royal St. Lucia Police Force have been freed to take part in US-sponsored security training exercises. But the fact remains that the officers and by extension the departments affected by US sanctions for the alleged 2011 unlawful police killings are still in limbo. Mr. Albert would like to see the complete closure to this matter so that those directly impacted can move on with their lives.
It's ongoing when that such has happened. But our members we have who are affected are still very much in the same limbo. And that is what we want to see happen so that they can get a relief, because at this point in time those who are still with us are still unable to achieve certain things because of that.
Though not directly connected to the 2011 incident, Mr. Albert says he has been personally affected as a member of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force.
I was working on a project and there was a part-time job that I could have gotten, but at the time I was unable to get the part-time job because I was a police officer and the legal law was implemented on the organization. The organization that I would have gotten the part-time job from could not have given me the job opportunity because I was a police officer and the legal law was implemented against the police force.
U.S. Ambassador to Barbados and the OECS, Linda Tagliatella, made the announcement of the partial lifting of the restrictions last Friday. For the DBS News World, I'm Don Nicholas.
Internationally, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed said he hoped Ethiopia's national and regional elections would prove the success of democratic reforms. But an opposition boycott, war, ethnic violence and logistical challenges overshadowed the vote in some regions. More in this report.
As counting of the vote began in Ethiopia on Monday, several opposition parties complained of irregularities and in some regions staged a boycott. Nobel Peace Prize winner Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed came to power promising sweeping reforms, lifting a ban on many political parties and releasing tens of thousands of political prisoners. At a polling station, he promised a fair election.
You can see how it is free and fair election. Everybody is here for free, and I hope it will be the best election in our history.
But human rights activists say his gains have been reversed after reports of abuses and a looming famine in the war-ravaged northern region of Tigray. In 4 of Ethiopia's 10 regions, authorities were unable to hold elections. The election board chief said that in 2 of the regions that did vote, opposition observers were reportedly chased away from polling stations and some polling agents were beaten and had their badges confiscated. And that's not all. In different areas, polling agents postponed the vote after less than half the ballot papers arrived, while others filed complaints of government intimidation and militia blocking party observers. That intimidation pushed major opposition parties to boycott the vote in Ethiopia's most populous region, Oromia. Regional officials did not return calls seeking comment. However, in other areas, including the capital, voting went peacefully.
People in a small town in southern Iraq say pollution from oil production is killing them. They blame gas flaring when oil is extracted and excess natural gas is burned off, releasing CO2, that's carbon dioxide, and methane. Al Jazeera's Natasha Ghanem reports.
People living in the village of Bahla take visitors here. They say gas flaring from oil production decimated their generations-old palm trees, leaving behind nothing but trunks. When we met the village elders, they said everyone knows someone who is diagnosed with or who has died from cancer.
I already have cancer and only God helps me. We continue to be worried about our families and loved ones.
The Basra Health Department in southern Iraq says the pollution from oil production is making people and animals in the area sick. The Iraqi High Commission for Human Rights says due to the high rate of cancer in Basra, it's demanding the government work with oil companies to combat pollution.
There is no stability for 6 or 7 years. Every 2 years there is some challenge, political challenge, security challenge. Gas is long-term investment. It needs some stability. And it needs some cash and commitment.
The World Bank ranks Iraq number 2 behind Russia when it comes to gas flaring. Instead of polluting the air, the gas could be recovered and sold or used to generate electricity for millions of people. The Basra Gas Company is investing $3 billion to do just that at the Rumaila oil field, Iraq's largest.
Anything that the Iraqi government can do or its neighbours can do to create a stable environment is good for capturing more gas and for creating a better environment for the Iraqi people.
The people of Bahla say the land their families have been tied to for 200 years is toxic, and they wonder how many more of them will get sick before the government can help them. Natasha Ghanem, Al Jazeera, Basra, Iraq.
And now for the weather. Present weather is partly cloudy skies. Winds are a gentle breeze of 10 miles per hour from an easterly direction. The temperature is 29 degrees Celsius or 84 degrees Fahrenheit. Seas are moderate with waves of 3 to 6 feet. The weather forecast for today predicts partly cloudy skies with a 30% or low chance of showers, and tonight is expected to be partly cloudy, becoming cloudy after midnight with a 50% or moderate chance of showers. Sunset today will be at 6:47 p.m., sunrise tomorrow at 5:38 a.m. And that brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Jason Davis.